look, there are clearly a lot of other things going on around the world, not least from what President Trump was saying about the situation in Russia and Ukraine. Take a listen.
I've spoken to President Putin a lot. We've had discussions. You and I have had discussions. Yeah. We thought we had that settled numerous times. And then President Putin goes out and starts launching rockets into some city like Kiev and kills a lot of people in a nursing home or whatever. You have bodies lying all over the street. And I say that's not the way to do it. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm very disappointed. I'm disappointed in President Putin. Very disappointed in him.
President Trump speaking alongside Sir Keir Starmer in Scotland a little earlier today. Give us the run-up to this, Tim. What's the background to the ire of the president?
There's been sanctions left, right and centre. They have had limited effect. They have had some effect. The Russian economy is all over the place. Putin and, well, Trump thought he had Putin's number. It looks like it was the other way around.
Yeah, doesn't it?
However, he's got limited patience, especially if he thinks he's being messed about. So he started to talk a little bit heavier. He threatened him with sanctions, didn't go anywhere. Putin kind of thinks, he's all talk and no trousers. So now he's talking tougher. And you could be forgiven for thinking, well, so what? Are you familiar with Taco when it comes to Trump?
Taco?
Yeah. There's Taco and Fafo. Taco is Trump always chickens out.
Yeah.
Fafo, I will change to Mafo, mess around and find out.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a debate about, when it comes to Trump, is it Taco or Fafo? Well, I think we're going to find out.
What does Fafo look like, though?
Well, exactly. So Taco means he chickens out again and doesn't do anything, because he didn't do anything last time. Right. What he's done today, and this is in the face of both an increase in the amount of missiles being thrown into Ukrainian civilian areas and incremental but reasonably steady gains on the battlefield by the Russians. So he said, I'll give you 50 days to sort it. And today, because of what's been happening in both of the examples I've given, he said, well, actually, you know what, I'm going to cut that in half. And in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to have to look at sanctions. So is it Taco or Fafo? Well, what's on the table is something called the Sanctioning Russia Act of 2025. It's been drafted by Lindsey Graham, a Republican, and Richard Blumenthal, a Democrat. And I'll try to be not too technical. It's both sanctions and secondary sanctions. There's already a lot of sanctions on Russia, and it limits Russia's revenue for the war. Secondary sanctions would be, as well as this company, that individual, various economic things, banking restrictions, secondary sanctions will say to other countries, if you buy Russian oil or gas, we will sanction you as well. I mean, I've got problems with this, because are you really going to say that to the Chinese and the Indians who buy Russian gas and oil? Well, we'll find out. But what he's got up his sleeve is the oil price cap. The price cap, the EU and I assume Britain, which we don't really buy much from Russia anymore, but I assume we adhere to this, EU, Britain and the US will not buy Russian oil and tries to make sure that nobody else buys it if it's below, above $60 a barrel. So, if oil's at 90, they are really pressuring people. Don't buy it at 90, buy it at 60. And Russia has been forced to sell it at cheaper prices. So they've got two things in the locker, two bazookas, if you like. One is that $50 is as much as anybody can pay for Russian oil. And that, a 10% drop will seriously hit Russia's economy and ability to wage war. But the second bit is about the shadow tankers. The reason that the sanctions haven't really worked is that you sail out with a full tanker full of Russian oil, you meet another tanker halfway around the world or wherever, which is flagged in Panama or flagged here or flagged there, and you transfer all the oil, or you blend it with some that's already there. It then shows up at another port and offloads it. Is it Russian oil? I don't know. So they've been getting around it. But if you can sanction the shadow fleet as well, you might be making inroads.
The shadow fleet is, I find, genuinely fascinating, not least because I'm aware of various people who are making money like you would not believe in finding these tankers who are willing to do this. In effect, they're operating in a very, very, very murky, morally incredibly bankrupt area of oil tanking, which is basically propping up this shadow fleet.
Yeah, they are subsidising the Russian war effort by doing it, but I don't think they lose any sleep.
That's how the world goes round.
But there are dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of these shadow tankers, and of course the Russians are all over it. I've said this to you on the programme before, they've got PhDs in how to get round sanctions. So if they're going to put the oil down to 50. And pressure everybody, they're going to have to go after the tankers. They're going to have to get. I mean, this is intelligence. This is what our intelligence services are paid for. Find out who they are, and actually, I mean, the Swedes are doing a reasonably good job of trying to board and check, but it's a difficult enterprise to pull off.
And then what of Ukraine? If those are the sanctions on Russia. We keep hearing about the calls that happen between Trump and Zelensky, or Starmer and Zelensky. And I saw a suggestion in one of the papers a week or so ago that there are some protests happening in Ukraine about Zelensky now. There's a fair amount of discontent, it would seem.
Yeah, he's in a dangerous period because the goodwill is running out. I mean, there is a strong argument you can't hold an election during wartime.
Yeah.
We didn't during World War II, for example. And, of course, Churchill lost as soon as the war ended, and it's probable Zelensky will lose as soon as this war finishes. But what he's brought in is a very, very dodgy bill, which is that it protects some of the major companies in Ukraine, which are corrupt up to their eyeballs. And, of course, some of them back him. So it's a really suspicious, and he's backed down a little bit because of massive demonstrations. Now, he still has the ear of the world, but Ukraine is a deeply, deeply corrupt country. It's a fledgling democracy. It deserves a chance at trying to have that system of government, which its people want, but it's deeply corrupt. And it must be, I would have thought, nigh on impossible to operate at the highest levels without, at the very least, brushing past that corruption.
So go on then. In a word, is it going to be Fafo or taco?
Both.
Both.
Go into the break. I'll write the letters down and
fine.
come up with an anagram or something.
Fine. Okay. We will leave you to come up with your fence-sitting acronym for this. Tim Marshall is a foreign affairs analyst, author of Prisoners of Geography.